We're finding more and more, and most radio stations around the world will tell you that when it comes to recruiting talent, one of the first places you look at is how much of a social media following that they have, or how active is that particular talent in both social media, online and on web. Your followings on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram are very, very important, and also just how active you are. Because I think as anyone will tell you in the radio world now, it's no longer a case of just broadcasting on one frequency. There's multi-platforms that are happening. So talent really does need to be digitally equipped to deal with the way that broadcasting is happening. Making videos, making digital content first, putting out the digital content and then using your radio platform to drive back to it. So it's all those kind of things that are really, really important. So it's no wonder that we're finding that a lot of radio talent is being recruited on that line. And radio stations are looking for talent that actually is a lot more digitally equipped than they were in the past. So it's quite an important factor, I would say. One of the things that have emerged since COVID-19 is that radio stations are having to revert to doing what they actually were intended to do, and that is service the community. So I want to give you an example of a station I was working with in Paarl called KC, and they decided that they wanted to provide education for children who couldn't attend school. And a lot of these areas as well is that data was quite expensive. So to send videos of lessons and stuff via Facebook or whatever the case may be, it was going to be very expensive in order for them to actually do that. So because radio is still free, as it were, on an FM frequency, the station decided to do something called the Class of KC. And at 9:30 every day, a different teacher with a different subject would come in and actually basically do the class. And it just shows you that it was incredibly well received, incidentally, but it just shows you that we as a radio service or radio stations sometimes forget how important that kind of broadcasting is, because parents were able to sit with their kids and actually listen to those lessons and different lessons every day. We did, in fact, Facebook live it for people that perhaps missed it and want to go back and hear it again. But of course, that would have defeated the object of not even to use data anyway. But nevertheless, it was quite successful and just an example of the kind of things that were put into place to service the community. In terms of education, I think what we're seeing a lot of as well is that the revert back to mini dramas and mini documentaries and those kind of things, where podcasting has taken the radio drama to another level. And nowadays we're also seeing that people are quite used to the kind of podcasting and radio dramas, that even on highly commercial stations, when you wanted to get messages out about COVID-19, small little relevant dramas were made, like 2 to 3 minutes of that kind of thing, just depending on what the target market was. But it was very, very impactful because we were able to tell the story as opposed to just making announcements, as it were. So those are just two examples of how radios had to adapt and change in what is quite a different time for all of us. I think we're going to find post-COVID-19 a lot of changes in terms of listenership habits. Take, for instance, where in the past it was always the drive time. It's always a breakfast show where the majority of your audience was there because they were commuting. It might not be the case anymore because people have suddenly discovered you don't have to actually go to work every day. Therefore, we're seeing different times that people are actually going to work and different times that people are commuting. So are we going to see a situation where the drive time is no longer the most listened to period of the day? Because people are leaving or working from home, they're not traveling as much as they would have, and secondly, they might be working at different times. So there's going to be quite an adjustment there, and I'm not sure whether we're still going to see the preferential times, as it were, being drive. It might be the middle of the morning actually, and that's something to consider.